So it is important to understand that there's true hunger and there's false hunger. And this is where sometimes things can get skewed, and it kind of goes back to, you know, how you grew up and those, right? And the beliefs and everything else goes back to, if you know, grew up kind of in a strict household, right? And let's say you were a superstar athlete or something, like, you know, and you just went and did, you know, gymnastics or something, and, you know, your body's telling you that you're hungry, but, you know, you have a mother who's kind of saying, oh, you don't need any more food. Well, that would screw with your body, because that's going against the nature and the science of what your body needs, and then your beliefs and your things would be skewed. That's why it's so important to understand what makes you you, and where all of these things come from. That's just a minor example, but understanding that our bodies will give us cues when we're hungry, and true hunger, and being able to listen and understand our bodies. So true hunger is a physical feeling. It's not an emotional one, and it can be, if we're really hungry, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to focus. That's why it's, you know, eating the right foods too, and right meaning, said there's no bad foods that we're going to learn, but ones that'll keep us more satisfied for longer, and knowing what our body wants, well, that'll be more satisfying. Well, that will help with the hunger. But understanding that emotional hunger can be very difficult to work through the difference if you haven't learned yet, and identifying and recognizing those, especially if you have the core beliefs underneath that have been messing you up on when you are really hungry versus when you're not. So that's why we're, you know, as we work through this, learning your body, learning the cues, learning the things, and when you understand your body, recognizing the difference is going to make a huge difference in the overall outcome. But that's also why this is going to take a little bit longer to get to know yourself, get to know why you've done what you've done before, so we can work on the new changes that we have coming up for you. So identifying, you know, false hunger, visual cues, for example, right? So let's say you've eaten, you're satisfied, you feel good, right? No problem. But all of a sudden, you know, your favorite cakes, right? I bring out a cake and that's in front of you right now. Well, that's visually, you could be like, okay, well, I'm going to eat that now, just because I wasn't hungry before. I wasn't thinking of food before. The cake's in front of me. Now I want to eat this cake. Okay, like for argument's sake, maybe that's okay in this particular case to eat the cake and understand, you know what, and be okay with it. But then you're making the choice to eat it. It's a choice. You're recognizing that I'm only eating this because it's in front of me. I recognize I'm not actually really hungry. It's just my favorite cake and I want to eat it. And you're taking that, it's like taking that responsibility, taking charge, and I'm eating it. Okay. But if you're going to go on a cycle of shame, guilt, feeling not good, okay, well, how are we going to break that cycle? Because then you're not recognizing that you made that choice to eat that. Okay, well, maybe we have to eliminate the visual hunger at times, or understand that at times that's a normal thing to have sometimes. So if it's something that's not an everyday thing, well, then that could be okay. And just like it could be okay to have maybe if you need a little bit of sweets, right? In a day, maybe you're like, oh, I can't give up sugar. Maybe once a day you have a little sweet, and then you know, oh, okay, well, I can have this. So now I'm not restricted. So I'm not going to go binge eat. So it's not a big deal. So this depends on you as an individual, but understanding the difference between emotional hunger and true hunger, being able to recognize the difference, or false hunger, because there's emotional hunger too. I'm emotional, I'm bored, so I'm just eating this because there's nothing else to do. Okay, well then we got to work on replacing the habit. That's a completely different scenario.